The GOAT, it's the GOAT, it's the give it GOAT. The GOAT, it's the GOAT, it's the ever GOAT. The GOAT, I got a little tied up on that, but it's the GOAT.
Welcome to a very, very sad final edition of the GOAT Pod, GOAT Pod. I am Wendell Holland. For those that don't know, I was on Survivor. I'm here with some of my good friends. First of all, we have the Purple One, the host of the Purple Pants podcast, the star of Survivor 28, Survivor Cagayan, the one and only Bryce Isaiah is in the building. Bryce, how you doing?
They not like us. They not like us. I am wonderful. I just got back from the dentist. He had to put my tooth back in. Okay.
Hey. Anyway, we'll get to that. We'll get to this tooth joke. I also have another good friend of mine, another Philadelphian, the son of the legend, the one and only legend himself from the Cookout, Mr. Derek Frazier. How you doing?
I am doing great, Wendell. It is so good to be back here at the GOAT podcast with my lovely brothers. You know, at this time, I feel like we are finally at a different location in the house that we've never seen before, which is the production room in this episode.
Okay. But so we're clear. Every part of this house gets used this episode. So Derek, we were right this whole season. Okay.
We were. We never seen any of the places that Ween Deasy has mentioned the whole entire time as we were doing this podcast.
You ever, when you go to a black person's house?
Yeah.
And you open the refrigerator and there is, say it's like, I can't believe it's not butter jar in the refrigerator.
Yes.
What's in that jar?
It's not butter.
Okay. Because that's what this episode was giving me. Okay. They said, wait a minute, we got a tablecloth left over here. We got a little pus left over here. Okay. Pick up the words Davon can spell right from that episode. Let's put them all together. I said, what? This ain't butter. This is ribs.
Collection of things in this finale. It was, you know what, Bryce? I'm not gonna lie. I wish I would have made it to that finale because I like the challenges that have a lot of stuff like that going on. Now, granted, I wasn't the best at the individual challenges. I'm not gonna lie, but I think a finale like that, I think I would have done well.
I also feel like, since we just all over the place with things, justice for Tech.
Yeah.
Okay.
For Tech, for sure.
Justice for Tech.
They did Tech dirty, and when it came time for them to have to do it, they're all like, "Oh, I guess Tech wasn't throwing."
Yeah, Joe needs to hand my man Tech an apology because Joe was talking he was talking heavy a few episodes ago, and we see, slinging them tomatoes ain't as easy as you think.
Well, if he needs some tomatoes to sling,
Okay.
The grocery store is always open for Joe.
24 hours, 7 days a week.
24 hours. And if he need to eat them.
And if he needs Instacart, we are on our way.
Okay.
Okay.
He could call me Janae Aoki. Aiko.
Derek, can we get into this episode, please?
Yes, we can. I just want to shout out also, Wendell, your braids look really nice. They look sharp. They look tight. We could definitely see and hear everything that you are thinking.
And
we can actually see the stuff that we can also see the stuff that you're already thinking for the future. Like we already know what you're thinking on Friday already.
Oh, word?
Yeah.
Well, don't tell nobody what I'm thinking because it's going down.
Okay, so we get into tonight's episode. This episode title was called The GOAT of All Goats. Okay, we are now down to the finale. Davon just went home to, is it Paula? Pal? Is that what we call her? I still can't remember her name.
Pal.
Davon just went home to Pal, so now we are stuck with.
She was not Davon's pal, though. Okay.
She was not. We are now stuck. We are
Sad to
now.
see her go.
I know you were.
Who went home first though?
Mm.
Whoo.
Once again, who played the game? Not as they should.
Okay.
I'm saying one of us went home 1 week, the other went home 2 weeks after that.
Oh, I would say this. Y'all both.
Which in goat household terms is about 2 days after that.
Well, I will tell you this. You guys both disappointed me, especially being from the CBS family. You guys know better. Could have just worked together and made it to the end. Y'all
Coulda just
fought
worked
everybody.
together. Look at that. Look at that. Could have just
But-
worked together.
But you just didn't know how to just
You
use
didn't
it
know how
better.
to do.
I
But
tried to work
regardless
with
of
her the
that,
whole time. Okay.
overall, I still stand by what I stand by, and you still will get a 3.
How does
Okay.
the paper end up back here in the last episode?
Okay.
So yes, I still am a ride or die for Davon, and she did very well. Powell was smart at getting her out. We talked about that. So hey, she would have won the whole thing. To be
I'm
honest,
saying maybe if she would have just not just been so gung ho about targeting me the whole game, we would have been able to do some damage. I don't know.
Maybe if you would have worked with her.
Maybe I did work with her every day, every single day, even before challenges. The challenge that she wanted to she was whatever. You know what?
Yeah, I mean,
I
'cause listen,
received that
this is the final episode. The final 4 is Pal, Jason, Joe, and Jill. I don't hear no Wendell in it. Did you hear
Right.
Wendell, Derek?
You're so wrong. You're so wrong. Ah. Tosh comes in as a racer. I guess because he's saying this is the final race, I guess. And we do cut to him explaining, what they're going to be doing, talking about the challenges, where they're at, kind of also asking them like, how do you feel to be here? He kind of stirring the pot a little bit, by asking these questions to them. Like, how do you feel about this one being here? Or what's your journey? Now, I want to point out to our girl who I have really fell in love with this season, and I have to shout out to Bryce. I have to say, I fell in love with Jill this season to
Okay.
the point that I might go back and rewatch The Housewives of New York City, because now that is 3 housewives I've kind of fell in love with after watching them on these different shows or All Stars, Ultimate Girls Trips, and things like that. But Jill talks about how annoyed that she is that Joe is here. Do we agree or disagree with what her statement is?
So I'm shocked to learn that Joe went out first on The Bachelor, right? Like, I didn't know that. I just always knew Joe from The Bachelor. And it is really interesting to see Joe here because it's like, I thought he was asleep most of the most of the season.
I agree.
And his name was brought up very early, very strong.
Yeah.
It was him or Tasia. Their names were on the chopping block. Joe has done a good job this season of maneuvering. Some would say flip-flopping as far as like going from one side, going with the guys, going with the women. However, he did a good job at that. And also just like kind of coasting, giving off the impression that he wasn't so into it or that he wasn't playing so hard. And now
do you believe that though?
I believe he's not a gamer. And this household was not full of a bunch of gamers.
That wasn't the question though.
May I finish my sentence, Bryce Isaiah?
Go ahead, but as long as you're going to answer the question.
All right, what's the question?
Do you believe that, like what you were saying, like how he was very docile, that was like strategic of him, or do you feel like there were times where he really was?
I didn't say that was strategic of him. I said he flip-flopped, like went with the women, went with the guys. Good strategy.
Have you ever flip-flopped, Wendell?
Am I gonna be able to?
Just curious. Have you ever flip-flopped?
I'm wearing flip-flops right now.
So you have flip-flopped.
Sure.
Okay. He gives that a little bit, right, Derek? Like,
wait a minute. Is this a term that in the vernacular that is not my vernacular?
I love that word, vernacular. That was a great word. Listen, I will say this. I do agree with what Wendell is saying as of him flip-flopping, back and forth between different people. But it is also a strategy move, because if you're not controlling the house, you got to go with what's going to keep you safe that week. So I'm not mad at Joe making the moves that he need to make in order to get himself to where he is today. Now, I do agree, based on the edit, which we know how production is with edits, it did give him the edit, as you said, of like, I'm just there. Like, I'm just hanging out, I'm chilling, I'm
Right.
sleeping, I'm eating, whatever. It also gave the edit that he's a part of production based on Jill always screaming for him whenever she needs something done. So I just feel like he's just, I get both of your point of view. So I will say, hey, he's here. It is what it is. Let's also talk about, another thing that Tosh brought up is that he did talk about, Jason breaking his promise with Davon. Okay. And Jace did call it bending the truth because it's a game. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
I think that's how you get to the end of these games. I also think it reminds me of Survivor, right? Like, you get to the end, but I feel like with something like that, when you pull off a move like that, you got to own it. You have to like take accountability. And Laura Hunted Child, Jesus, I love me some Jason. And I think that Jason did everything that he needed to do to get to the end. And I can even respect it, because it's like, if it's Davon or him at the end, baby, Davon's getting a 10. And so I love how and what he did. I just wish my baby Lord Jesus, I wish she owned it more. I wish she like took that accountability. But Lord Jesus, we love Jason though.
And that's the thing, Bryce. I totally agree with you. I think Jason could have won the game had he stood on his business. Like, he went against his roommates, the fella. Like, he went against us. These are big moves. He went against Day. That's a big move. Yo, stand on it. Yo, yeah, when I was with you and I had to take my shot when I could. Yeah, Day, I was with you and I had to take my shot when I could. Stand on that. You could win the game. But if you're kind of on this, I want to talk my way through and around it, gamers will respect game before any of that other maneuvering stuff. So, yeah,
Of course.
I went into that day wanting to vote for Jason to win the game. And I think a lot of people did as well.
I agree with that. So we get to the comp. The comp is called Reality Remix Reality Race, which is all the races that, as you mentioned, Wendell, in the beginning, that you guys have done throughout. I mean, you only done a little bit, so don't you forget. But it's some, a lot of the things that they did throughout the competition. Okay, Pal is leading. Okay, our baby Joe. Of course, we get back to what we talked about earlier, the slingshot. Okay.
Right. Before you go, Derek, it is important though. Like, I think there's 5 legs, right? And so the first leg is like the lifesaver leg, where you have to like throw the lifesaver on top of a pole and pull it in. And then it was the pimple popper. And then leg 3 was the table, flipping the table, prostitution whore.
Yes.
And then it was the word scramble, and then the slingshot.
Yes. And the slingshot, the reason why, and I'm glad you guys pointed that out, the slingshot is important because, they did realize how hard it was. And I remember, like we said, we remember them messing with tech and calling tech out and things like that. So I hope that, hopefully everybody apologized to Tech, or if they didn't, they definitely owe him an apology, because he definitely was not throwing anything based on how everybody was saying. But our baby Joe, Bryce, he is struggling through this, slingshot. It was very difficult to watch. I was like, whoa.
Right. And it's like, if you just look at the people that are left and you see the challenges that we have to do, it's like they're handing the GOAT to Joe. Like, it's like, Joe, you should be able to kill this.
And this is why Jill was pissed that he was here. She knew it.
Right. Oh, yeah. Jill was not happy because Jill called it out. She did a That's So Raven. She said, if Joe wins this in the end. Now, mind you, also, let's talk about Jill real quick, because this is why I love Jill. Because I feel like Jill says one thing, but also it's like, what you say it is not really what you say it, because it's like Jill's say it like, if I don't win or if I don't get to the end, I'll be fine with it. I had a good time. But Miss Zarin, you was pissed. I really feel like watching this episode, because I had to watch it twice. Jill in the first 10 minutes, Jill was moving like she won. I was like,
Oh yeah, for sure.
because girl, why you got your hair crimped like that? Okay, Jill, she had her hair and makeup ready, like I'm about to win. I'm not playing with these girls today.
Yeah, I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. I like the comps that they had. I thought they were all fair based across the board, which this whole entire competition was fair based when it comes to these comps across the board. They were very backyard family games. Like if I'm looking for some games to play at a family reunion or a group of friends, I'm also thinking about these ideas for my future birthday. I'm like, oh my God, I want to do this for my birthday with like all my friends, like at like when we get a house and go somewhere, Airbnb. Like these are some fun games you could play at one place where you don't have to leave, you don't have to go anywhere. You can play at one house the whole entire time.
And what's so great, Derek, is if you were to rent an Airbnb, say the Airbnb doesn't have a backyard. Guess where you can play it? You can play it in the front yard.
And you can play it inside too. It works
inside,
everywhere.
The
downstairs,
basement,
the bathroom, the living room,
the closet,
the bedroom.
Okay, gentlemen.
The sofa.
Okay, can we get back to our Goat Pod?
I want to shout out you guys with Bryce. I know you went to the dentist recently.
Mm-hmm.
Did you go to the same dentist that Pal had to go to after losing her tooth in the slingshot?
I did not. My dentist was accredited. But no. But what I was trying to figure out was I loved how they didn't talk about her losing her tooth until the next day. What was Paula biting on? Like I was like, what? Did we miss something?
Is her tooth fake? Was it veneers? Did she have veneers?
I don't know. We didn't see.
Because the way that can I be honest? The way that she like acted when the tooth like broke or fixed or whatever, she acted like it's happened before. She's like, "Oh, my tooth fell out." I was like, "What the? Has this happened before? Does this girl lose her tooth before? What's going on?" But I will say this, it kind of reminded me of that episode that I always remember every single time I see like a CBS commercial when they're talking about Amazing Race. And it's everywhere. It's the girl with the slingshot. These like season 1 or 2 of Amazing Race, and she pulls it back and pops her face with the watermelon.
I've seen that. I know exactly what you're talking about. I thought you were going to talk about. I was like, "Ooh, let me find out." Derek knows some classic Survivor when this Dawn, she lost her tooth it fell in like this pond, and she made who was it? Was it Debbie?
Brenda.
Not Brenda. She made this girl Brenda go get it. So I was like, what's happening here? But I really do think during these legs, like how really kind of like pulls away, like she really kind of like flexes her muscle, like I am the strongest person standing here, and it's very evident.
Yes. I also want to say, as we're getting through this comp, also I know they had the board where they had to spell everybody's names out, which I love Jason being like, everybody got these weird ass names. I was cracking up about that, but I also find it funny that Jill, our girl Jill, decides to look at other people's boards as the game is going on. You cannot tell me that Jill is not a competitor. She don't care and I also found it surprised that they made it that easy to let them be able to see each other's boards. I'm surprised they didn't put like something there, but I have to remember this is very, very low, bottom low production. So I have to remember that.
It was Tosh for me, changing who he rooting for, talking ish to Jason, like, "Come on, Jason, you got it." Tosh was the best host for this because I just felt like it was a reality show. It is a competition show, but it just also felt like it was a comedy show because Tosh, he was amazing.
I love that. Wendell, do you think they'll do another season of this? I'm just curious.
I hope they do. I really do. I'd love to see some people. I'd love to see you on it, Derek. I would love to see you on it. Yes. I'd love to see some other people on it that have some strategic chops and some people that don't have strategic chops. And I think Derek falls somewhere in between there.
I knew it was coming. But you know what? I appreciate all your blessings. I appreciate it, Kendrick Lamar. You know, it's very good to know that. I appreciate that. Okay.
Derek, where did you place in Big Brother 23?
I placed second.
Oh, okay.
You know, it was very hard to get there, but I placed second. But with this type of game, I would win first. I could do this in my sleep. I don't know how Wendell didn't make it that far. It's very easy.
That's Bryce how he placed in Survivor.
Bryce, how did you place in Survivor?
How did Wendell do in the GOAT, you said?
Lasted longer than Bryce in Survivor.
How did Wendell do in the GOAT, you said?
So Joe is the first to finish, okay? Then comes in Pal, and then it comes down to Jason and Jill. And unfortunately, our girl Jem, she goes out. I
didn't know she was playing this game.
Wait, did I say something wrong?
Jim?
Jim?
The cable guy?
Oh, I thought I said Jill. I'm sorry, Jill. I'm tired. Jill is she is eliminated. And I love Jill because let me tell you something. When she says congratulations, sweetheart, like I just know she is not happy about this, what's happening right now. She is pissed. Okay.
Yeah. And it's like the emotion that was coming out of her, like first of all, I feel like I know Jill's Aaron, right? I've met her multiple times. Hey, Jill.
Yeah.
Love her. Jill is a competitive person. Like, just as like, if it's with Gucci, if it's with fabrics, if you've seen Below the Deck, it's about how a yacht should be run. Like, Jill is top of the notch, and that's what she expects. And so I loved seeing that she was going to be on here. I didn't know what to expect from Jill, but I love how like she got into it and she was playing to win. Like, she was playing to win. And by far, she was a highlight and a treat for me on this season.
Me too. So of course we get to our final three. You know, they find out what their next competition is going to be, and they have to now talk to everyone that is eliminated and basically con them into voting for them to win. I thought this was great. This was just obviously Survivor. Big Brother 101, we got a jury and you got to convince them to play. Now, the trick is that they only have, if I'm correct, an hour to kind of make their rounds with everyone. If I'm correct, was that right? Did I hear that correctly? Everyone has an hour. We saw when these.
You gotta be smart with your time.
Let me ask you when DZ did. I'm sorry, Bryce. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, this is when the episode kind of was making me a little mad. In the edit, right? Like, I feel like going into this, I'm low-key rooting for Lord Honeychild. But as we're starting to see the conversations that are happening, the conversations that we are seeing are very screwed. It seemed like we're only getting real conversations with Pal and with Joe or with Jason. They're these kind of like very tension-held conversations, and I don't really remember a lot of Joe's conversations. But like it was just very, very, very telling in that edit. And I didn't like that. Like, I wish it was a little bit more of like mixing.
Bryce, I don't think the edit was trying to mislead you or make you think anything, because from my own stance, Pal swayed a lot of people, bro. Like, I sat there and I was ready for my boy Jason to hit a home run. I already knew who I was voting for. As a matter of fact, when they had us in the vans waiting up the hill before we went down there, I'm telling the people why Jason is a great winner and why he should win. He didn't get the job done out there, but it wasn't as much of him not getting the job done, but Pal getting the job done. I mean, super humbling herself, crying to people, just pouring the fact that she is a good woman, like a good person. We were just like, man, like, there's nobody else that we would want to give this money to. I don't think Joe was in contention. And Joe's an awesome guy. He's hilarious. He's fun. He's a bro, all of that. For me, it was between Pal and Jason. And for everyone, Pal was a clear, a head and shoulders above everyone. And I remember because they separated us all so everyone could politic. And I think I looked up because Reza was like my best friend in the house. And I looked up and I saw him on the porch after I talked to Pal and he had already talked, and then she went to him or something. And I gave him some hand signals like, yo, it's over. Like, that's the one. And he did the same for me. And I'm like, wow, we came in here wanting to vote for our boy, our roommate, the guy who backstabbed us and did a good job at it. But we had to vote for this person who deserved it.
I do agree with that. I will say this, even though Bryce, I know you said it kind of looks a little bit misleading. I thought Jason was just a mess. I thought Jason was a mess when he was having conversations. I don't think that he understood, and this is where you have when people have strategy or know how to present themselves, I don't think that he was able to present what he did, because like you said before, if he would have listed out exactly what he done, he could have ran with this. It could have been a whole thing could have been him. But I think that he just was not ready. And Joe, I think Joe could have had a chance, but Joe was also all over the place too. Powell,
Yeah.
to me, did fantastic. I'm pretty shocked that Powell was able to get Davon's vote without really having a conversation with her.
Did she?
I-
Wasn't
I
there one
thought-
vote for Joe?
Yeah.
Wait, was there one vote for Joe? Did I miss the?
Mhm.
Oh, okay. So then, yeah.
It was
I don't know if she got Davon's. I'm not sure.
Okay.
yeah, that's what I
Sorry,
thought too.
I thought it was I thought it was a landslide.
Joe had one vote, and I going in, I was like, I know Davon ain't voting for Powell,
I
and
didn't
I know
think so
she ain't
either.
voting for Jason. An interesting thing as I was watching this and I was seeing Jason kind of like fall apart a little bit, it made me think about like our respective reality shows, right? Like Survivor, Big Brother. We have this mindset of if we're going to backstab, we have to do what we have to do. For me, I think Jason coming from the food world, right? I think that Jason, and this is just my interpretation, it's like the final product, right? Like, oh, look, I got to do all this stuff to make this beautiful cake and boom. And I think that Jason was really looking at himself like, I'm the cake, right? Like, I got here, I baked it. Boom. And I think that that's the difference in these different reality shows, where it's like in shows like Big Brother and Survivor, like it's not just getting to the end. It's like, you got to state your case. You got to like, and I really felt like Joe was like, he was like a politician on tour, like, give me a hug, I love you, like, you know what I mean? And I think that that's the difference. And I think if Jason ever plays a game like this again, I think he'll be so much more prepared. But I really think that like he really was like, I'm here, I did it. And it's like, you did, but not just yet. You just got a little bit more to do. But yeah,
I think what we ran into is Wendell and Davon, and Wendell and Davon being competitors, teaching them about being competitors, talking to them like you just saw Wendell's in the van preaching up Jason, all that type of stuff behind the scenes. I think the issue is that because all these other players, they probably felt like, oh, okay, so this is what I should expect when they're talking to me. And I think Jason was just kind of like, it's me, honey, you know me, you know, like, look, I made you pie and made you honey pie and all that. Like, I think that he just missed that mark with that. And I understand the pressure of being in the end, not, you know, you might be like, oh my God, I'm here. There's so much I could say, and stumbling. I stumbled. I 100% get that. 100%. So, like I said, Jason, I think he did okay. I think Joe also did okay, but I think Joe could have maybe turned a couple of votes if he would have probably had like a really good conversation with Tasia? Yes, with Tasia. If he would have had a good conversation with Tasia and made it like, showed them like, you know, I just made up with Tasia, I'm so sorry it took me so long, I wanted to apologize to her, I think things could have been different for him.
It looked like, with regards to Tasia, he was like, all right, I'm not getting her vote, whatever, I'll work on other people, instead of, hold on a second, let me rekindle this friendship, let me make it right, let me apologize, let me hear her side, let me understand that she really did stick her whole neck out for me, thank her for that, and find a way to make this right. I think that would have went a long way for Joe.
I have a question for you, Wendell. You being there, right? And you saying that as everyone is going around in that 60 minutes and you guys are talking and you kind of have changed your mind a little bit, like maybe I should give my vote to Powell. as a viewer, for me, the nail in Jason's coffin was that exchange with Jill at the end. When Jason's talking to Devon and he's saying, like, well, it was Jill's plan. Jill looked at me and said, listen, you know what you got to do, and I can't win if you're here. And then him and Jill had that exchange, and Jill kind of like clears him, like, don't add me in this. I ain't do nothing. Like, was Jason's fate already sealed, or was that like the moment where it was like, ooh, a lot of people changed their mind?
I didn't remember that conversation in real time. I don't know
Well,
where.
the votes happened before that, Bryce. The
Okay,
votes
so they
happened
already
before
voted.
that.
They already
So they
voted.
already
Right. Okay.
voted. But I do agree with you. The conversation he had with Davon, I think, like, just didn't go the way that he needed it to go. And once again, I think people, if I have to give him some advice, if you do something in a game and you make it to the end, just take ownership for it and spin it in a way that it is a game move and why it made me get to where I'm at. When people are scared to, like, not say like I backstab or I crossed and stuff like that, it doesn't go well, because it's just like, well, baby, like, I'm sitting here, so how did I get here? That's why Davon's like, tell me, how did I get here? You
Right.
couldn't tell me how I got here. You're blaming Jill. So now I'm like, well, Jill's not in the finale, so you had to do something to get me here. Just tell me, and I can look at you and give you a vote, maybe.
Yeah.
But once he gave that speech at the finale, like you said, like when you were saying, like, oh, Jill and Devon are going back and forth, and she's like, oh, let me tell you what Jason said. I think it was like the votes were already in, but I mean, that just, I don't know. It just sucks, because if Jason comes back and does a show like this again or anything, I mean, I don't think people are going to forget. Like, I wouldn't trust Jason, even though I love him and I think that he's great. He's also another gay man. I'm not going to trust Jason. It's just what it is.
I love Jason in real life. I have a signed copy of his book. I think he's great. We had him on the pod.
Yes.
My goodness, like, I don't know if I could trust him in a game.
No, that was too. Just the move he did was a great sneak attack, but I just wish that he would have just took ownership. Like, I would have looked at Davon and be like, yes, so you were a big threat. I love you. Thank you so much for getting me here. You were a big threat, but I had to take an opportunity to take you out, just like, and I would have added, just like I didn't took out the men that I was working with. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
And
I
that
know,
will also soften the blow to Davon. Like, look, I
Right.
did you just like I did that. Like, you were a big part in me doing it to them. I had to do it to you.
I know they just wrapped up Traitors season 3, but I think we need Jason on Traitors season 4. Honestly, I think I
Hot take.
mm,
Yeah.
So yeah, we get to the votes. As you said, one was for Joe. We're gonna guess is Davon, based on, because Davon and I think production kind of played into that a little bit, making sure Davon and Powell didn't have enough time to talk. I don't know, or Powell was just like, I really don't want to talk to Davon. I'm trying to save it for the last minute, and that's fine, because I don't think Powell. I think Powell. I like Powell, but I don't think she was ready for that smoke, because I think Davon would have got her together real quick.
And Powell put in the right work everywhere else. Like,
She did.
like it might have been good to wait till the end to talk to her, because Wade at least 3 people in there.
Yeah. So we get to the votes, and Powell is the winner of the GOAT. And congratulations to Powell on winning the first season of the GOAT. She can now go take care of that tooth, get a new veneer. She got a man. I thought she was on 90 Days Fiance. Maybe that's her same man. I don't know. But I know she's also a mom, if I'm correct. So taking care of her children or child. So congratulations on winning the GOAT. Wendell, since we have you here, how was your experience overall with the GOAT? Are you happy with the winner? How are you feeling with everything?
That's a great question. I'm glad you asked. I'm very, very happy with the winner. I think Powell is a very deserving woman, hardworking, heart of gold, great person, right? And that's why she got so many votes at the end. So kudos to Powell. Kudos to the group for what I think is them picking the right winner. My experience overall on the GOAT, I loved it in GOAT manner. I had a great time. Compared to other competition shows, I thought that it was more fun. We had a house. I'm not used to living in anything. We usually are out in the wild. We had bathrooms and the luxuries that come with bathrooms. And when I look at a show like The GOAT, I think of like House of Villains, The Traitors, all these shows where you bring all these reality people together. And I didn't walk into this house thinking it was going to be this silly of a show. I had to recalibrate my own, game and whatnot. But after a couple days and getting the flow, I like really, really enjoyed it. I enjoy playing something like that even more so than like going on the island and playing Survivor, though I would always go back and play Survivor. But yeah, fun show. I think either one of you would love a show like this, and you guys would do very well on it. And they pay pretty well also. Like,
Okay, sounds good. All right, Bryce, what
Yeah.
is your thoughts on the go? How do you feel about doing, recapping this season and watching? What's your thoughts?
I loved recapping the season with two of like my favorite people in the whole wide world, Derek and Davon. It was like so much fun. I mean, Wendell. It was so
What?
much. I'm sorry. No, I thought it was great. I can remember when Wendell was filming and talking to you out there and just hearing your excitement about it. And then to be able to watch it, I thought it was the perfect mix of silly, gameplay, strategic, but fun, right? Like I
Yeah.
remember watching these episodes and being like, when is the next episode coming out? I need to see what happens. It's like I was shocked at how much I got into it. So I love it.
Mhm.
I'm ready for season 2.
Now, Bryce, being my best friend, and I mean, like I would call you at because we got our phones at night, so I'd call you at night. I'd call you in the morning. What was that? What was my sentiment like? What were those conversations like?
So those conversations were fun. For me, I'm all about the experience. I'm like, well, what's the food like? Are you having fun? And then it's because I want to know. I'm like, is the bed comfortable? Who you sleeping with? Like, what room are you with? Like sleeping with like
He was sleeping with the gays, girl.
who is you flip-flopping with? And so it was interesting because like I can remember in some days like you being so hyped. And mind you, Wendell never spoils anything. We don't play that. So
Which I like that.
It's interesting in watching these episodes. I can put back in my head, going back like, oh, I remember when Wendell was a little short with me and he was like, ain't have much going on. That's when Davon was giving him the business. And so it's so fun to have like this whole full picture of it, like you getting there, you being like, you don't know what's going on, you don't know a lot of these people, but you just getting to know who the people are and seeing how it played out, and just seeing you just being literally your, like, we always, Wendell's a dad, right? But before Wendell was a dad, he was always a dad, and it's just interesting you going out there and being a dad on that show. It's like it's funny.
I have one more question, Bryce. When I told you who was out there, what were your thoughts? Few people that you told me some things about.
I was freaking out about Reza, and I was freaking out about Jill Zarin because I've extensively watched those two people for over a decade. And was I not spot on with my advice about what I knew about them and how like I felt like they would be?
You were spot on. And what's crazy is like they don't love each other now, but I love both of them very much. And I should be seeing Jill in a couple weeks in the Hamptons. And I'm gonna try
Sounds good. Sounds like I'm going with you.
You're coming with?
I missed the last Hampton trip. I'm not missing the next one.
All right, I'll talk to her. I'm gonna try to get her for like some kind of post-game deep dive also.
Oh, love that.
Love that. Come on.
Because as long as you use your tongue, because Jill likes when you use your tongue like tech, okay? Now, I will say, I definitely enjoy watching this season with you guys. I love recapping with you guys. And I wish Wendell would just call me because I could have talked to him about Davon. I could have talked to him about Alyssa Edwards, but it's okay, man. He got one phone call, so I'm glad he called Bryce, which was the smart move to do. So, I mean, like I said, I hope there's another season. Let's definitely amp up the drama next season a little bit more. Maybe they need to put some people in there to bring some drama. But you know what? I did enjoy it. And only suggestion I can say, I just want them to do the rollout a little bit better with the GOAT, because I don't want people sleeping on the GOAT. I think the GOAT is a great show. I love the fact that it was, like you said, Bryce, a mixture of funny, silly, competition, competitive, but also it was good to watch and it felt fair across the board. It didn't feel like, oh my God, because Wendell knows how to build stuff, this is what's going to happen, which we already saw what happened when he tried to build a float,
Okay.
things like that. So I just hope they continue that for the next season. And let's get some more random, because that was the most random group of people that you could think of, but a group of people that could sit there and go, wow, I want to see this. So let's continue that.
I have a suggestion.
Yeah, let's write the cast for season 2 right now. Let's do it.
No, I don't want to suggest the cast. I just want to suggest maybe like let's find a property that has some woods, or maybe a side yard, maybe a loft. So like we can have a little bit more.
Maybe a tree house,
a
pool shed.
A pool house, a pool shed, something. Maybe in a nice neighborhood that we can ask the neighbor across the street if we could use their grill, something like that. I would be here for that. Okay. I do know this has been such a fun podcast to wrap up with you guys, but Derek, I do know Big Brother is getting ready to come on. Will you be covering Big Brother?
I will, unfortunately. So yes, Big Brother's new season comes out July 17th. And you guys can always check out my social media to find out where to watch Big Brother at. But I will recapping Big Brother every week for you guys. So, and I would love to have you guys on and come in,
Yes.
Let's talk about it.
Well, I'm gonna I think I'm about 90% sure that I will be in New York at my sister Aza's Big Brother premiere party.
Yes.
I don't know too much about Big Brother, as you know, but I always want to support my sister, so I'm gonna really try my best to be up there. That's in a couple weeks.
Yep, literally. I was just talking to Tiffany about it. It's about we got 2 weeks. So right now, if I am correct, the house guests either are leaving right now this week and they are sequestered, and there's a bunch of them, and we will find out probably Big Brother premiere, I think it's July 17th, which is a Wednesday. So we will find out that Tuesday or Wednesday who these 16 people are about to be. So a little nervous, a little nerve-wracking, but let's see.
All right. Well, gentlemen, my brothers, my people, I want to thank you guys so much for joining me on this GOAT Pod. It has been an honor and a pleasure to hear y'all roast me week after week and talk about my terrible game and talk about how great Davon is and talk about how bad I am and that I'm a 3 and all of that. It's been an absolute pleasure. I wish we could do this every week, but that wraps our GOAT Pod for the GOAT Season 1. Make sure to tune in for the GOAT Season 2 when we get my boy Derek on.
Yes.
They're not calling me. And let me tell you something. They call me for the GOAT. It's going to be hell. I'm going to tell you that. I will be Tosh wouldn't even know how to host with me. I will wear Tosh out. He'd be like, just give Big D the job at this point. He can play and host. If we could break third, the fact that y'all were able to break third wheel, baby. Isn't it third? What is it? Third
wall?
Oh, third wall. Yeah, you know what it is. You know how it is. I don't really deal with more than one person, so I don't really know how that works. But the fact that you were able to break third wall, oh, baby. Every second somebody say something, is me.
You hear that?
The whole time. So yeah.
I'm gonna get a job. Y'all gonna see. I'm gonna be the cameraman. Remember, I became where y'all at?
Is that right? Yeah, because we'll be at the same house.
Okay.
So thank you guys. I appreciate this. This is so fun. And yes, season 2 will be great. So hopefully they renew. And when they do, let's make our own Dreamcast. We can come up with our own Dreamcast who we think it should be.
And one last thank you to Reality After Show for allowing us to come on the network and do our thing. So big thanks to my good friend Johnny Fairplay and the people at Reality After Show. And you guys will be seeing us very soon. Much love to you all for watching the GOAT Pod. Goat Pod. We out.